You see her carved in stone. No face, no name, just a small body with heavy breasts, wide hips, a round belly, and a shape that still makes modern people stop and ask the same question. Why did ancient humans make her this way? For a long time, the easy answer was desire. Men liked curvy women. Artists carved what men wanted. Simple. But prehistory almost never gives you the simple answer, does it? The first problem is that you are looking at a body through modern eyes. Your world has supermarkets, mirrors, cameras, dating apps, calorie labels, gym memberships, and endless arguments about what a body should look like. Your ancestors had none of that. For most of human history, fat was not a lifestyle choice. Fat was stored sunlight. Fat was an emergency ration under the skin. Fat was the difference between bleeding through winter and not bleeding at all. So when you ask why ancient humans preferred curvy women, the first answer is this. They may not have preferred them in the way you imagine. They may have feared hunger. They may have honored fertility. They may have carved survival. And yes, sometimes survival can look beautiful. Start with the most famous figure. The Venus of Willendorf is a limestone figurine found in Austria in 1908, only about 4 inches tall, and roughly 29,500 years old. She has no visible face. Her arms are thin, her breasts, belly, thighs, and hips are exaggerated far beyond ordinary proportions. What do you do with an image like that? Early archaeologists gave these figures the name Venus, after the Roman goddess of love. That name sounds romantic. It also smuggles in an assumption. It tells your brain to see these bodies as ancient pin-ups before you have even asked who made them, who held them, or what they meant. At sites across Ice Age Europe, similar female figurines appear again and again. Dolní Věstonice in the Czech Republic produced one of the oldest known ceramic human figures. Lespugue in France produced a carved ivory figure with enormous hips and breasts. Kostenki in Russia, Gagarino, Grimaldi, and other Upper Paleolithic sites add more pieces to the same puzzle. Upper Paleolithic simply means the later part of the Old Stone Age, when modern humans were making complex tools, art, ornaments, shelters, and long-distance social networks. So, why do so many of these bodies look soft, heavy, and full? One possibility is attraction. Your body is not attracted to random signals. Across many species, sexual attraction often points toward signs of health, maturity, energy, or reproductive readiness. In humans, body fat matters because human babies are expensive. A pregnant body needs energy. A breastfeeding body needs energy. A body that ovulates regularly needs energy. When food is uncertain, visible fat can become a biological message. This person has reserves. Devendra Singh, a psychologist, became famous for studying waist-to-hip ratio in the 1990s. Waist-to-hip ratio just means the size of the waist compared with the size of the hips. Singh argued that a relatively narrower waist and fuller hips could signal youth, hormonal patterns, and reproductive health. That does not mean every culture likes the same body. It does not mean one number explains beauty. But it does show why the curve between waist and hip may catch human attention so quickly. Could an Ice Age mind have noticed something similar without measuring anything? Probably. But the Venus figurines are not just hourglass bodies. Many are much heavier than the modern beauty ideal. Some look pregnant. Some look like mothers. Some look like symbols of abundance during a world that often gave almost nothing. That changes the question. Maybe the mystery is not why ancient humans liked curves. Maybe the mystery is why stored fat became sacred enough to carve. Picture the Ice Age. Not a cartoon world of endless snow, but a shifting planet of cold winds, dry grasslands, migrating animals, short summers, and dangerous shortages. Your ancestors could be skilled and still hungry. They could know the land and still watch the herds move somewhere else. A successful hunt could feed a group for days. A failed season could thin everyone. What would a full body mean in a place like that? Peter Brown and Melvin Connor, anthropologists who studied obesity from an evolutionary and cross-cultural perspective, pointed out that in many food-scarce societies, larger body size can be associated with security, wealth, or well-being. Anthropology simply means the study of humans, including bodies, cultures, tools, beliefs, and survival. A body with reserves could say that someone had access to food, support, and status. In a world where hunger was always nearby, fat was not only a body shape, it was information. Now, look again at the figurine. The belly is not just a belly. It is a granary before farming. The breasts are not just breasts. They are the possibility of feeding a child when no bottle exists. The hips are not just hips. They are a visible reminder that life enters the world through bodies that survive enormous risk. Does the image start to look different? Richard Johnson, Miguel Lanaspa, and John Fox proposed a climate survival idea for some Venus figurines. They argued that during colder and harsher periods, especially near glaciers, figures with more extreme body fat may have represented ideals of survival and nourishment. A glacier is a giant moving mass of ice, and living near one could mean brutal seasonal stress. Their idea does not solve every figurine. No single idea can. But it fits one basic truth. In a starving landscape, roundness can become hope. There is another twist. What if some of these figures were not made by men looking at women? What if some were made by women looking at themselves? Catherine Hodge McCoy and Leroy McDermott argued that the strange proportions of many Venus figurines may reflect a pregnant woman's own viewpoint looking down at her body. From that angle, breasts, belly, and thighs appear enormous, while feet and faces are hard to see. Self-representation means making an image of yourself from your own perspective. What if the faceless body was not an object of desire, but a body seen from the inside of lived experience? Imagine being pregnant 25,000 years ago. You have no hospital, no ultrasound, no antibiotics, no guaranteed shelter. Your body is changing, and every change matters, because a birth can bring joy, danger, blood, and loss all at once. Would you carve a perfect face? Or would you carve the parts of the body that feel most powerful, most frightening, and most important? This is where the modern question can mislead you. Preference sounds like dating. Prehistory may be talking about dependence. Your ancestors did not survive as isolated couples staring at each other across a fire. They survived in groups, with children passed between arms, food shared, knowledge remembered, and elders protecting stories that kept everyone alive. A woman's body was never just an individual body. It was part of a social system. Sarah Blaffer Hrdy, an anthropologist and primatologist, has argued that human evolution depended heavily on cooperative child rearing. A primatologist studies primates, the group that includes monkeys, apes, and humans. Cooperative child rearing means babies are cared for not only by mothers, but also by fathers, grandparents, siblings, and other helpers. Human babies are helpless for a long time. Their brains are hungry. Their childhoods are long. So, a pregnant body or nursing body was not just private biology. It was a group event. A curvy female figure could therefore carry many meanings at once. It could be sexual. It could be maternal. It could be magical. It could be protective. It could mark identity, teaching, puberty, pregnancy, ancestors, or status. In prehistory, one object often had more than one meaning, because life itself had more than one pressure. Why would a small carved body need to be only one thing? Now reconstruct the scene. You are inside a shelter near the edge of a cold grassland. Outside, wind scrapes across the ground. Inside, a fire cracks, children sleep, and someone turns a small figure in their hand. It fits in the palm. It is warm from touch. The body on it is round, calm, and impossible to ignore. Maybe the person holding it is young. Maybe she is pregnant for the first time. Maybe an older woman is explaining what her body will do, what pains will come, what signs are dangerous, and what foods she needs. Maybe the figure is a lesson. Maybe it is a charm. Maybe it is a memory of women who survived long enough to become mothers and grandmothers. Can you feel how different that is from a poster on a wall? Now picture a hungry season. The group has fewer animals to follow. Plants are buried or dry. Children are quieter because hunger makes everyone quiet. In that world, a full female body could become a dream of enough. Enough food, enough milk, enough warmth, enough strength to carry life through the worst weeks of the year. That is not shallow attraction. That is a prayer you can hold. The counterintuitive twist is that ancient curviness may not have been about unlimited indulgence. It may have been about discipline, work, danger, and scarcity. A body with fat in the Ice Age did not usually mean laziness. It meant someone had survived illness, cold, pregnancy, and the constant burning of calories through walking, gathering, carrying, digging, building, and caring. The curve was not separate from hardship. It was proof that hardship had not won. Modern culture often flips the symbol upside down. Today, in many wealthy societies, thinness can signal control, money, leisure, and access to special food. In other places, and in many past societies, fullness could signal the same things. The body did not change as much as the economy around the body changed. When calories are rare, fat can look like success. When calories are everywhere, thinness can look like success. Is beauty really fixed, or does it follow the fears of its time? This is why the answer cannot be reduced to men liked curves. Some men probably did. Some women probably did. Some communities may have seen larger bodies as erotic, sacred, lucky, maternal, powerful, or protective. Other communities may have preferred different shapes entirely. There was no single ancient human beauty standard stretching across every cave, valley, river, and campfire. There were many peoples, many climates, many diets, and many meanings. But one pattern is hard to ignore. Again and again, ancient artists return to the body that stores energy, gives birth, feeds children, and turns food into future people. That body mattered because the future was not guaranteed. Every child was a gamble. Every pregnancy was a risk. Every winter asked the same cruel question: does this group have enough stored life to continue? So when you look at a curvy Paleolithic figurine, you are not just looking at ancient attraction. You are looking at hunger. You are looking at pregnancy without medicine. You are looking at milk before bottles, warmth before houses, survival before supermarkets, and beauty before mirrors. Your ancestors may have seen curves not because they were primitive, but because they were paying attention to the places where life was most vulnerable. And that should change how you see your own world. Your body still carries ancient signals, but your culture keeps changing the meaning of those signals. A shape that once meant survival can later be judged, edited, praised, shamed, sold, or filtered. A curve that once meant enough can become a problem to fix. A body that once stood for fertility, endurance, and group survival can be flattened into an opinion on a screen. What has your age taught you to see, and what has it taught you to miss? The ancient answer is not that one body type is best. The answer is that beauty has always been tied to survival, fear, food, birth, status, and hope. The curvy body appears so strongly in Paleolithic art because it sat at the crossroads of all those things. It was not just desire, it was a symbol of life continuing when life was fragile. You see her carved in stone, no face, no name, but now the shape is no longer a mystery of ancient lust. It is the outline of hunger survived, children imagined, winter endured, and a future your ancestors were desperate enough to hold in the palm of a hand.